All right, we're live. Got my good friend Adam Turner here. It's been 2 months since you've been on the channel. Last time was the friendlies we had against. Oh God, my mind's in a blend right now. Last two friendlies were against
I was just looking at it too.
Portugal, and shit. Who was the other one? I'm losing my mind right now.
Dude, I was literally just looking at it, but my problem, I was looking at like every single one of our opponents' friendlies as well. And I was just Belgium, and I was just the one we got smashed in. I literally, my brain wants to forget that game. I was looking at the Senegal Germany and kind of like even looking at, it doesn't matter as much. I was like looking at their lineups, looking at their players, kind of like figuring out, how they could challenge us. But yeah, anyway, those two friendlies.
Okay, so I was texting you the other day, and the list leaked on Saturday by The Guardian, and we were kind of waiting. I did a show about it because, we thought it was going to be real, but, there were some people skeptical until it's officially official if that was going to be the actual roster. Well, it turns out it was the official roster. That is, and so we're going to pull it up here. I'm going to get a better list, but I'm just going to share this in the meantime. So this is the graphic that the USMNT released themselves.
Yep. It's pretty sick
just to show the roster. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah. So let me find something a little better. But first reaction, was there any surprises for you when you saw the roster? We'll look at it like position by position, but what was your biggest surprise that you saw?
Okay, well, let's just for the fans out there, before everybody freaks out at me, let's separate surprise from expectation. Sorry, let's separate your phrase surprise, right? Am I surprised by this? No. Is it what I would do, or do I agree with all these moves, right? Knowing our pool over the last 5-6 years, I don't agree with all the moves, but honestly, Will, very few surprises. I don't know. Like I saw a lot out there about Miles, which I agree with. I would not have been my choice. Wouldn't have brought him. But we can't be surprised by it, right? He's had a lot of opportunity. He's been a guy who's been a part of the rosters. Once again, I would have liked to have given that spot to a number of different guys and not actually center back at the center back spot. But I think what this speaks to is we're going to be playing three in the back, and I think we're going to be playing three center backs often, right? Or he just wants enough depth to rotate at those spots late in games because he thinks, okay, we're going to be working hard defensively, and he wants more guys at that spot. So.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by Miles Robinson because I just think he's been okay in MLS, nothing special. I thought I thought they would maybe have eliminated that spot, that extra center back, and then taken another midfielder. And me and Derek talked about this other night. But one of the things that's kind of crazy, and I want to talk to you about this too. There was a quote from Pochettino today. Did you see what he said about Gio?
Did. Yeah.
Gio can play as defensive midfielder? What?
I don't know if he's thinking, that he's going to create enough defensive coverage and have Gio, be his, regista, which, we saw Berhalter try. I don't know about Gio at this point, man. It's just tough. Like all of the numbers point to the fact that he just can't run. I don't think he's not trying to run, right? He just clearly can't run and can't do it consistently, can't do it at a level that allows him to be an effective attacker. But I don't know. I'd rather have him, obviously I would rather have him be pulling strings off the field, even if he's your, ace in the hole off the bench in the 70th minute. I just think there's a lot of things you can do with him. I hate him being in any spot where you need him to cover defensively at this point. It's tough. I'm assuming he means against teams where we're going to control the ball in the group stage. I hope he doesn't mean in some sort of a knockout or game where we're even against Turkey, right? I think that would be a disaster. Yeah, I do agree with your point. The midfielder thing shocked me because as soon as you look at the roster, you're like, okay, yeah, nice. Wes and Gio. Okay, clearly he's thinking about putting Wes in midfield. I like that. Let's just sit on that for 1 second. I love that. Right. I just think with the strength of our roster, we have enough guys who can play the inverted winger, who can do what he wants the front three guys to do. We don't have guys who can be in the midfield, right? And so it's our strongest roster involves Wes in one of those midfield spots. So A plus, F minus. who the hell is coming in the game when Adams and West need a break? Like, we are playing Sebastian Berhalter in this World Cup, my friend. Like, that is for sure. We're playing Roldan and Berhalter. I think they both get minutes. I think they're both going to be on the field in key spots. I'll be honest, because I don't want to overreact here. If anybody's followed me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of those two guys.
You're not?
I actually think in the group stage it's fine.
Yeah.
I do. I like, and I don't want to poo-poo group stage games, but like, we've actually seen most of these, two of the three opponents, we're pretty intimate with. Those two guys can hold up fine in those games. I'll be honest. Like, and I am not a fan. I'm actually the opposite of a fan of both of them. But man, when we get to Turkey, when we get out of the group, that midfield depth is troubling, my friend. Like, hey, I hope Adams and West are ready to play 90 a game. Like, we almost need to rotate them in the group to make sure that they're ready for Turkey, even, right? Forget about the group. We got to get out of the group to think about knockouts. But even for Turkey, we need those guys fresh. Those guys have to play 90 against Turkey. To me, you cannot put Roldan in the midfield against Turkey.
Well, I think they're going to run them down, which we'll talk about here in a second. But real quick, guys, I forgot to mention this. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys like the stream down below. It helps us out. Share with a friend. Get as many people in here to talk with me and Adam about the USMNT roster. It was announced today for the 2026 World Cup. We want, the more the merrier. Make sure you guys like that and share it. Also, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We got a big summer in store. It might be a sad summer, but it's a big summer nonetheless. Now back to this too. Man, God, Roldan and Berhalter is just the craziest drop off ever, right? I mean, they looked very uncomfortable in the games they played against Belgium and Portugal, right? So I think Sebastian Berhalter, the game I remember, I want to say it was Portugal, but it might have been Berhalter. But as soon as he came on the pitch, Adam, he just looked like his head was spinning. He had never faced quality like that before, which he hasn't at the club level, obviously. And he just looked like he was not ready for the challenge to play a team like that. So it is concerning. And to your point, if Adams and McKinney have to play 90 minutes every damn game, we are so screwed because the chances, we know Tyler Adams has gotten injured a couple times. Weston McKinney's fitness is probably at the best it's been in a couple years, so I'm not too worried about him. But if you run these guys into the ground, you're going to either A, cause an injury, or B, they're going to have to get some rest eventually, put these other guys in, and the quality is going to fall off a cliff.
One huge advantage, right? So I'll just say this because I know a lot of people out there, if you're a ball knower, you're probably saying this, and I know Will knows this as well. We've talked about it on here. A big advantage to this World Cup, to this expanded World Cup, is the games are, I think, 6 or 7 days apart. I think 7 days, then 6 days apart. And then knockout also, there's a gap. So in the past, it's been like 5 days apart. And I know it's only 1 or 2 days, and people are like, it's 1 or 2 days. It really makes a difference, though, right? When you space it out, you get a little bit more to a normal cadence where these guys are kind of used to playing every 6 or 7 days, right, in club season. So it doesn't totally negate that, right? I don't want to say that because it doesn't. Because over the course of a tournament, you will get worn down, right? Especially if you have ambition to make round of 32, round of 16. When you get to round of 32, round of 16, you're on your 5th straight game of fifth straight 90. Like you said, these guys can do it, but you better not get a knock. As soon as you get a knock, it's like we're screwed. Now Berhalter's playing 90 or Roldan, whoever, against somebody really freaking good. And it's like now your chances just go way down as soon as you put that quality on the field. So the lack of depth there, specifically not seeing Tessman on the roster. And I've heard a lot of rumblings. Is he hurt? Is he not hurt? But Poch gave us nothing, right? In his press conference, it seemed like.
Derek said he was hurt. So I think he is hurt. I don't think he would have been able to probably play at least immediately. Maybe he would have been okay in a couple weeks, but I don't think they were really wanting to risk that. Now, to counter that, Miles Robinson, I don't think really does anything for you. So I feel like eliminating his position to have a possibly injured Tanner Tessman would have been worth it in case he does come back to help out with the depth. But maybe Poach just thought he wasn't going to have any chance of playing at all in the World Cup. So that sucks.
So I don't know what else we do, like I'd love to, adamantly argue for other guys. Musa, like I can't. like I really can't. Like, yes, there are a lot of other options that would be better than those two guys. I think no matter how we spun it, it was going to be a weak spot. Tessman's injury, right? Johnny's injury, and honestly, just lack of development for the national team in general, right, over the last 2 years, which we were all hoping would happen. But you still would bring him, right? I mean, I think you'd still bring him at this point and hope that he comes good. And then, you know, Musa kind of fallen off a cliff over the last couple of years. But it's one of those points where you're like, gosh, I wish we kind of had invested in the talent of Musa for country over the last year or two and just gotten him reps. And like, because it's the upside of a Musa off the bench is far higher than Berhalter and Roldan, who there is no upside. They're serviceable against bad opponents, and that's a bad formula in the World Cup. You're only going to play, and it's not even bad opponents in the World Cup. It's right. Like you're playing 0 bad opponents, but against the worst World Cup opponents, those guys are going to be fine. They probably won't lose you the game, knock on wood. And then as soon as you get to good competition, they lose you the game, right? Having a gap in that spot that can't compete at that level. We have seen Musa compete at that level in a World Cup. He competes at that level for club, right? Practices at that level. Obviously, his form has been terrible over the course of the last 2 years, but like, could you have invested in him and tried to get him confident with country, a group of guys he knows, a place he's been successful? Like, I wish we had that back, you know, because that at least is a formula that could have led to success. No promises, right? It's kind of the same thing with Johnny. It's just like that's a formula that there's a successful formula there for a World Cup. There is no successful formula with Roldan and Berhalter. I'm sorry. Like, it's a hit and hope. It's like a hope there. It's a lightning in a bottle. It's like hopefully there is a set piece, and Berhalter's very good at those.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's lightning in a bottle with a set piece. And you're kind of like praying that the quality doesn't get to you in the middle of the park when you have those guys in.
You know, I didn't realize how young Yunus Musa was. Like, he's only 23 years old, which is crazy. It's crazy, right?
Great.
I honestly thought
him and Gio, dude, they seem like they're like 30
because of how much they played over the years, right? Yeah.
Those were, I remember like back in the day, it was like those guys are going to be in their prime in the 2030 World Cup. Like back in 21, 22, I was like, how good are we going to be? Like back then, I was like, we're going to be so good. And both of them have their careers have just collapsed. It's so sad.
Well, and that's another thing too. You and I, if we were in a time machine from 3 years ago, we would have never thought that Reyna would be a fringe World Cup roster player at 23 years old. We would have never thought Musa would not make the team. We would have thought Musa maybe would probably be a locked-in starter at this point, or be pushing to be in the starting 11, right? I mean, just talk about a fall from grace or expectations. Now, one thing that now Aiden Morris is another guy that was mentioned. Aiden Morris, I thought, has had some good spells in the championship. A lot of people thought maybe he deserved a spot, maybe over Roldan or Sebastian Berhalter. I do think that is kind of where you're splitting hairs a little bit. Like, agreed. I don't think it's a crazy difference.
I would feel very similar if Aiden Morris was on this roster. I'd feel very similar about the lack of depth. I really would. Like maybe like marginally a little better with Morris, but not really. I'd still feel like we got big problems if Aiden Morris is playing in a knockout game that we need to win. You know, like I wouldn't feel great. Like,
no, for sure. Now I want to pivot real quick to the defenders real quick, because I remember vividly calling you up, right, 2 years ago, and I was just thinking, man, what are we going to do at center back in the future? And we were talking about, like, we're like Zimmerman. You're like, man, Zimmerman's, I mean, he's okay, but he's not really, like, he doesn't get you excited. You know, he's just kind of a guy, right? He's a body. Yeah. And then we were talking about, like, who's going to be the heir to Ream. I'm starting to think that if they play they play the 3 center backs, it's going to be Richards, McKenzie, and probably Freeman are going to be the 3 center backs. But there is a chance Ream plays. But my God, did you ever think that Ream at 40 years old would be playing in 2026?
Dude, Ream making the World Cup in 2022 was like a comeback story, miracle old guy. Like the fact that he's here just tells you everything you need to know about the center back spot and the development over the last like 8 years, not just 4, right? Like you got to go back to like, we invested a lot into Zimmerman, Long, Robinson. Those guys have gotten a lot of minutes over the last decade. And center back's a weird thing, right? Like for a majority of the decade, you play two of them. You know, you have two of them. And to be honest, Will, you don't sub them much. So like if you look at Gold Cups and you look at Nations Leagues and you look at a lot of the heavy minute kind of segments of USMNT, it's a lot of the same names. It's Ream, it's Zimmerman, it's Miles, right? Richards, obviously, in the last 3-4. And then if you go back before that, you got a lot of Aaron Long. You got a lot. So like we made some poor investments. And some people would say, you know, Zimmerman wasn't a poor investment. He played last World Cup and was great. And like, it's fair. I mean, he also gave up a penalty that was a pretty big spot in a pretty big game. I don't know if you remember that penalty in the in the Wales game, but
yes.
So I don't know. Like to your point here, it's like we've got Chris Richards. That's great. I think to me, I think Trusty and McKenzie are both fine. Question mark. We'll see. Like I don't feel great about it. Ream is like you can't play Ream against anybody that you're worried about on the counter, which to me is everybody who we play against. I'm worried about everybody on the counter right now, right? Like that's how Paraguay is going to get us. Certainly how Australia is going to get us. You know, Turkey will get us with speed in the open field, you know, off of our possession. Like, so I don't know how you play Tim Ream. Like, I feel terrible about it. I agree with you. I think what we will do is Freeman. I don't like that though. I really don't like Freeman as a primary defender in big games either. I think we can get away with it in the first couple. That's another thing that I don't feel great about. He's gotten better. So I hope he continues to impress and show me the growth, but I worry about that one.
Yeah. Well, do you remember too, where a lot of people, and sometimes I think we're a little bit, have high standards. You know how there was an infatuation with goalkeepers where they could be a good shot stopper, but they want to see someone play good with their feet as well on the back. And obviously, Tim Ream is very good as a center back playing out of the back. That's one of his best things, passing out of the back. But his defending is so bad that I just think that the liability of him would just not be worth it. I don't give a shit if he's the best passer that we have on the entire team. He's going to get cooked in the World Cup.
So here's the deal with that. Here's my opinion. I'm interested in your thoughts. I just have never, even back in the we are about to have a golden generation, optimistic age of 2021, there's never been a time I'm like, you know what, the path here is to build a possession-based team. I've never thought that. I've just never thought that. Like I've thought, oh wow, we are going to have a much more dynamic version of what USMNT is great at, which is like defend our butts off, play on the counter. And then we'll be better at possessing. You always possess in soccer, right? You're never going to literally do that all the time. But like we have built strategy where we want to tactically play out, even under Poch, right? That we've seen him do that. We've seen him do it against good teams. The Belgium game, they were like, sure, guys, go ahead. Possess. Cool. We're scared, and it's weird. Like for a half, I'm like, this looks good. And then it just always seems to bite us, right? Like we're never, just don't know if over a course of a 90-minute game, our player pool in my lifetime will be able to possess to win, right? That's different than, oh, we had some nice possession spells. I'm talking about possess to win, which is what Berhalter's tried to do. I mean, Poch seems pretty hell-bent on it, right? We've seen us go after the better teams and friendlies with possession. So if you're going to tie it all together here, if you're going to do that, then having Tim Ream is important on the field, right? Having a better keeper with the ball at his feet is important on the field because you don't want to play direct from the keeper and try and win second balls. You're like, we're trying to play out of the back. So, having somebody with brick feet back there sucks. It's a terrible formula to have somebody with brick feet and try and play out of the back. It's a disaster waiting to happen. But you know what else is a disaster waiting to happen? Having Tim Ream at center back when you're going to get countered. Like, that's tough. Like, it's really tough. So it's one of the most overrated things, in my opinion, when it comes to the USMNT. I don't care, but tactically we need to be playing in a way that, like, having a guy on the field worse with the ball at his feet than Tim Ream is fine. And I don't know what the gap is between Ream at this point and Trusty with the ball at his feet. There's a gap. I don't want to act like there's not. But Ream is, where's the line between good at your feet and the negatives that he brings in so many other places, and the risk that conveys to the team? There's going to be a ton of risk with having Timmy Ream on the field for long spells. So I don't know. Center back is a tough one. I don't feel great about center back. I don't feel great about goalkeeper. And those are two areas that, like, carry teams like us deep in knockouts, if that's your goal, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what's so funny is not to spend too much time on this, but me and Derek looked back at the 2014 starting 11 to see if we would prefer that one or this one. And it's crazy how much better the 2014 team, I think, was. I mean, you got Timmy Howard in goal. I mean, that automatically just puts you in a tier above. It is so crazy that how goalkeeper has been our bread and butter for, like, the entire existence, as long as I've been watching the USMNT, and how it's just like weak. It's very weak right now. It's probably the weakest it's ever been. I mean, we had goalkeeper after goalkeeper in the Premier League. There was a time and place where we had our three goalkeepers were in the Premier League. Howard, Friedel, and Keller all were in the Premier League. Now, all three goalkeepers are in Major League Soccer.
Dude, Friedel, did Friedel get a World Cup? I think he just didn't get a World Cup.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He might have gotten one.
Like 06, maybe? I'd have to go back and look, but it was like, we went from Miola to Keller to Howard, and maybe Friedel in the middle. But the point is, like, Friedel had a long stretch where, my God, would we love to have Brad Friedel right now, right? And for any of the younger fans out there, like, go look it up. Go look up the club career Brad Friedel had. Dude was legit, and he couldn't really. It was kind of like Germany, right? Where Ter Stegen just has never been able to start for Germany, which is nuts. The dude's like the second best keeper in the world for like an 8-year stretch, and he can never play for his national team. And I don't want to compare our goalkeeper situation to that. It certainly isn't. But it was the same kind of idea with us, where, like, you were overloaded at a spot where only one guy can be on the field, and you can play that guy all game. You don't need depth at that spot. And then all of a sudden we're in a 10-year spell where we can't really find a guy, like.
So real quick,
Freeze is okay.
Real quick, it looks so. Miola started in 94. Keller started in 98. Friedel started in 2002. And Howard
Friedel was 02.
Yeah, and then Howard took over in 06 and then didn't give it up until after 14.
That's right. Friedel was the 02 keeper. I forget about that. I always think Keller was, but yeah.
And he had a great run then, right? That team was incredible. The best team, the most successful team we ever had, at least results wise. So one thing I do like, though, is I do like that Chris Brady's on here. Now, they could have taken like Patrick Schulte, who would have just been like there for a third guy. But I think it's good to take a guy who could be your future keeper, get him that experience, go to the World Cup. I'm very high on Chris Brady long term. He's only 22 years old. He's super young. So, like, for a goalkeeper, that's practically just, fresh. I like bringing him. Matt Freese, obviously, we know is just very, very, I would say he's the most consistent right now, but his ceiling is very low. So I think goalkeeping is definitely, like, very, very shaky compared to, like we just said, historically. I'm trying to think of, like, if there was anything else that I mean, the best group is obviously the attackers. The attackers are, I mean, my God, we would have loved to have this back in the day. Could you imagine on the 2014 team if we had a striker, and not to disrespect Dempsey or Altidore, who did play, more of an attacking role, but I mean, could you imagine if we had a top three of Ballo, Pepe, and then Haji Wright is your third option, or maybe some people say maybe he's the second option. Maybe Pepe's the third option.
Yeah, isn't it funny how we went from, like, for a couple of years there before Ballo committed, it was like the 9 problem. There was like a 9 problem. It was like all over Twitter, hey, we've got a 9 problem. Who's going to be the 9? And I agree. Now I feel like that's a really strong spot for us. I feel good about the 9s. I feel good about what they're going to bring. I feel like all three of those guys can go get goals when you need them. I feel like Balo's going to lead the line. I feel like Pepe's going to be a great late game energy bringer, right? He's a guy who's proven over the course of his national team career he can go get a late goal in big spots. World Cup qualifying. Like, he's got a lot of confidence behind him with the national team, which is pretty cool, you know? Like, it's a guy who has scored big goals in big games. Some people think he saved Berhalter's job in that first World Cup qualifying window. I think it was the Honduras game, if I'm not mistaken. And then you get Haji, who's just kind of a little bit of a do-it-all guy. You know, I feel good about bringing him in at like more of a winger spot, or you can kind of play two up front with him if you need to. And just even going deeper, right? Pulisic, Tillman, Reyna, like it is a Weah. I didn't even mention Weah, right? Weah is a World Cup goal scorer, a guy, once again, big game player, has had massive World Cup qualifying games for us. So it's a really fun front line, you know, top to bottom there. You know, and then you got a couple kind of X factor dudes in Aronson and Zendejas who are going to play very specific roles, but you've got multiple ways that you can go with that front, which is really exciting. And it's weird because in the past, like you've said, it's kind of been like one or two guys up there who are solid, you know, to obviously Donovan's prime, very good. Dempsey's prime, very good. Unfortunately, 2010 is really the only time that crossed over where we had like both of them, you know, like firing. Really, it was kind of more 2014 was just Clint, and then 02-06 was really just Landon. You know, I don't want to say just Landon, there were other guys too, but that's a great. And the midfield, Adams, McKennie are now vets, right? This is their World Cup. And that's something that people don't talk about enough, right? Like, this is the World Cup for McKennie and Adams and Pulisic, right? And Weah, that generation, like, this is the defining World Cup. They're going to be old next World Cup, as crazy as that sounds. They're going to be old national team players. Like, I would be surprised if a couple of them weren't on the national team at that point in time, you know?
Hell, some of the young guys didn't make the national team. So, yeah, some of the old guys definitely. I guess it really depends on who is going to be the manager going forward. But
we just don't know how injuries are going to go, right? Or, like, I knock on wood, but, like, Pulisic could be banged up and kind of go through a couple banged up old guy 30s years at that point. Those guys are what, 28 now?
Yeah.
I think so, right?
28, yeah, 28 year. Well, they'll be 28, I think, maybe when it's over with. But this is their 28 year. I know McKennie and Pulisic they were born in 98, so they'll be 28 this year if they're not already.
Yeah, he's turning 28 this year. Yeah, so I mean, next World Cup he's going to be almost 32.
This is their prime World Cup.
This is it. Like, this is the one, and it's at home.
Yeah,
and it's a big deal. And I know we've been really down on the national team because it's been a really rough 4 years. It just has, right? There's been very little to root for in 4 years. There's been turmoil. We've had how many managers, right? If you go back to the end of last World Cup, we're on our fourth. I know it's interims, but fifth, right? Fifth manager, I believe.
Yeah, because we had Berhalter, Hudson, Callahan, Berhalter again.
No, so somebody else, right? Somebody else came in the in between BJ and Berhalter. It was like Mikey Varas, I think, right? It was
maybe. Yeah, I think he did actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Mikey Varas was like interim for the Gold Cup or something like that, or I don't remember what it was, but
yeah.
And then now Poch. So it's like 5 managers, you know, grouped at Copa. First time a team's ever gotten grouped on home soil. Like, it's been a rough 4 years, but I can't stress enough how, like, none of that fucking matters. It just doesn't matter. If you looked at Morocco last World Cup, dude, right? And I'm not going to say like this is 100% going to happen for us, but like, it just is proof it doesn't matter. And you can go look at every World Cup. You can look at runs, dude, on almost every World Cup, and you can see a team that made a run a little bit more than what people thought, and they had been struggling, right, coming in. Because in tournament play, it's all about how you manage the tournament. And whether your confidence is high in Poch and whether or not he can do that, I don't know. But to me, the hope is there because it is a home World Cup. And I'm freaking pumped, man. Like,
I'm starting to. I want to ask you before we get into some predictions. I want to ask you what your ideal starting 11 would be now that we know the roster. Before we do that, though, we got 80 people in the chat. We appreciate you guys for joining us late tonight
Hey.
talking about this. Make sure you guys give us a like down below. I think we're at 20 likes so far. Make sure you guys hit that like button, help us out. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We got a huge summer USMNT stuff. Adam's going to be on here frequently, breaking down post games with me, talking about the USMNT, and hopefully, like I said, it's not sad stuff. Hopefully, it's positive. But Adam, so what do you think the starting 11 is going to be, and what formation do you think Poach is going to roll out in the group stage?
Man, let's do it. So I'm going to do what I think at each spot, and I'm going to do what I would do. And I'm going to give up on the Jedi playing in the back because it's just not going to happen as much as I've loved fighting for it. And in the comments, just flame me. Go ahead and flame me, and then just post yours on Twitter, and I'll flame you tomorrow. All right. So this is what I think will happen. I think Freeze will be in the back. I think the right center back will be Freeman. I think Richards will be in the middle. And I think we'll actually go Ream on the left-hand side. I think that's how Poch will start it. I do. I think that's what he's going to go with. And then I think it'll be Jedi and Dest, and I think it'll be Adams and Wes, and I think it'll be Pulisic and Ballo and Tillman. I think will be this. We'll get the nod up front. That's how I think he'll roll out. And I think that'll leave Weah and Reyna and I guess Trusty as a center back option, McKenzie as a backup center back option, Berhalter and Roldan coming in at midfield when you need support. I guess Scally will be probably the primary rotation guy at the outside back spot. And then we talked about the strikers, Pepe and Haji, and Haji can give you some wing support as well. So that's kind of the main guys. I mean, one of the reasons I'm not that fired up about Robinson either, dude, I just thought about this, is I don't think he's going to play, and I'll knock on wood there, but like, I think he's just the 26th man. And if you look at every World Cup roster from last World Cup, and I did this, teams go deeper than you think for sure, but they don't play 26 guys.
No.
So there will be a couple guys, and we should say 24, because the two goalkeepers, right? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't count here. So there's 23 field players, right? Is it 26? It is 26, right?
Yeah, 26 now. Yeah, it used to be 23. Now it's 26.
Yeah. I counted it this today. I was just double checking because it's kind of gone back and forth. But anyway, so of the 26, 23 field players, and there will be 2 or 3 that actually won't play. They won't get in the World Cup. I think it's pretty typical that teams only play 20, 21. I forget the math. I did it last time because I was in an argument on Twitter, and I went and kind of like nerdily averaged out every single team for the World Cup and how many they played. So that's how I think they'll roll out. What I would do a little bit different, I just don't. And obviously it's so weird because you got to talk game to game, right? It's like, so I'm just talking about as a core lineup. I would go, he's going to go 3 in the back. So it's just unrealistic to be like, I would play a 4-4-2. It's just not how he's going to play. So I don't want to even go to like, here's my formation and how I would do it. Like, screw that. Poch is going to play 3 in the back. That's all we've done now, right? For multiple camps. So we've had decent success with it. But I would go with 3 traditional center backs if we're going to do it at this point. I'm going to note again, I would actually go Jedi left center back, and people get mad about that because I say, oh, you can play. But I'll give that up. And I would go McKenzie and Richards and Trusty. And, I think between the 3 of them, guys will make mistakes, but hopefully if you've got 3 back there, right, you can cover for each other and cover for some of those mistakes. Now, if you watch last camp, that didn't always play out. We had multiple of those guys making mistakes on the same play. But I would go with those 3 in the back. And otherwise, I wouldn't change much from how I think Poch is going to do it. I think Dest, Adams, West, Jedi kind of in that middle 4, if you're thinking 3-4-2-1, right? Or how I kind of define it, that kind of picks itself. And then Ballo and Pulisic kind of picks itself. And I kind of like starting Tillman over Weah. And I think Weah brings more juice off the bench. In game 2, I would rotate a lot in game 2. To me, that's the game to rotate. It's not an assumed win. I wouldn't rotate assuming a win, but I would rotate, a lot of guys and try and get guys some rest in that game when possible.
No, I agree with that. I think we're pretty much in a line. 3-4-2-1, obviously. I think the center backs are probably the most debatable shifting. Like, I probably would go, I'd probably go Mark McKenzie, left center back, have Richards play in the middle, and then on the right center back, I don't know. I mean, Freeman definitely has looked better there. I don't think he's bad, and I think he's got potential. One thing about him is, he plays right back for club, right? But he's a big right back. He's like 6'4". Right backs are not normally that big. They're normally shorter and pacey. Now Jedi knows like 6'2", but they're normally so like he's got the body to play center back too. Like he's got the size. So I do like that about him. But I do agree. I think what you said about Ream playing on the left side, Richards in the middle, and I think did you say Trusty on the right center back for Poach?
He's left-footed. I would put him on the left side.
Well, who did you say was play right center back in Poach? Like you think he's going to do? McKenzie?
Oh, I think he's going to go Freeman.
So
I think he's going to go Freeman and Ream. I would go McKenzie, Trusty, Richards in the back.
Yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
I don't feel good about much though. There's not many combinations you can throw in a 3-back that I feel bad about. Yeah. I think people go a little crazy when I bring up the Jedi at left center back thing because like he's not a left center back, and I'm like, that's fine. I just want him. To me, Jedi's best quality in big games is he's really fast and he guards wingers really well. And we've seen that in his career. And in the biggest games, you are going to face dynamic right wingers. And if you can put him a little bit more on an island against those guys and trust that he's not going to get totally burned, it's a huge advantage. We've literally seen him do that in the Prem, right? Like, I mean, we have seen him go up against top right wingers and do well and hold his own. And if you have Richards kind of covering his back over there, it's great. And then if they have a good left winger as well, which pretty much all dynamic World Cup teams will, like you can clog that side a little bit more. You're going to be weaker over there, but you can clog it. But Poch is not doing that. So it's unrealistic. And people get really angry when I say that. They think I'm a whack job. But to me, if Freeman can play right center back, why can't Jedi play left center back? And he can extend up the field a little bit. If you watch how Ream plays it, he extends up the field on offense a little bit. He doesn't push all the way up because what I would do is I would have Destin Way at those spots. I would get my best players on the field. Because essentially the math for me is like, can I get Tillman, Weah, Jedi, and Dest all on the field, right? You can't get those guys on the field unless you're going to sacrifice something really, really big, right? So like what we're doing to me is we're bringing Freeman on the field and we are taking Weah off the field. That's the math for me. It's like we can go Jedi in one of the 3-back kind of defensive spots and he does not push up the field as much. For sure, you lose that. But what you gain is Timmy Weah gets to play and Freeman is sitting. And yeah, people trust Freeman way more than me. And God, I hope he proves this right. And I'll be cheering hard for him. But I am just nervous. I've seen that guy do a lot of weird stuff defensively through the years. And maybe it's just I'm scarred from that. And maybe he's learned and he's, obviously moved leagues and he's going to be better. And we're going to I'm going to knock on wood because he is going to be playing predominant minutes at right center back because I think that's the way we're going.
So let's transition into predictions, right? I'm not going to even touch the friendlies because they really don't matter.
Yeah,
it's more about this. This is what matters, right?
I love it.
Group stage, me and you talked last time for the Copa America. I think we might have done one for the Gold Cup too, but we talked about the Copa America and we said they could get grouped and they did, which is really bad. Maybe we were like a bad omen here.
Come on.
Now these don't have like we don't have like a top like an S tier team in our group, but we have a lot of competitive teams that is going to be it's going to be tough to win. Like there's no guaranteed wins I think in this group. This is going to be a tough battle each one. Okay. So let's start off. Like, what is your overall like predictions based on the roster? Like, how are you feeling about our group stage now?
So I thought you hit the nail on the head there. It's going to be a ultimate grinders group, right? Like these are including us. Like we're going to have to grind. Paraguay is going to grind you out, right? We saw that. Australia is going to grind you out. They always do. Like, I just want to make this clear with my predictions. We are not, and you'll see with my score predictions, we are not going to roll over anyone. That's my call. Like we are going to have to grind. We're at home. And I think Poch is a better manager than people give him credit for. And I think he will find a way and he'll come up with the right tactics and the right games. I really believe that. And I think Poch has been experimenting more than people think. And you and I were both nervous about that in his first year. but I really do. I think he's been experimenting a lot. I think he's given us some hints in a couple games that show us kind of what he is looking to do against better opponents. But I'm not worried, and I'm definitely not assuming anything when I say this. But I'll let's go game by game. In Paraguay, I've got us winning 1-0. I've got a late goal. I'm going really specific here, dude. I got a late goal by McKennie off a set piece from Sebastian Berhalter. I think the magic will play out. I think we're seeing Berhalter, and I got McKennie set piece winner after the 80th minute, and it's going to be magic. 1-0, though. I think we're going to hold up defensively in that game.
Okay. Real quick before I comment on that, I honestly hate the way this organized. I think this is the worst possible schedule we could have. The reason I say that is because if we lose to Paraguay in game 1, then we got pressure on us against Australia in game 2. And then Turkey,
it's a must win. Australia becomes a must win.
And then Turkey, and Turkey is the hardest. I think I would say they probably are the best team in the group, and they kind of dog walked us last time we played them before Gold Cup, right, when we had our friendlies. So I really don't. I think this is the worst possible, schedule of how we play these teams. The order is what I meant to say. The worst order possible. Now you say we're going to beat Paraguay 1-0. Man, Paraguay is so damn scrappy. I mean, I could see that being a 1-1 draw. I'm not really sure if it's. I don't know yet. Like, I'd have to do some more. Like, Diego Gomez is one of my favorite players who plays for Paraguay, and he played in MLS. He's been killing it in the Premier League this past year. He's been very good for them.
So I'll give you the recent results and take them with a grain of salt, right? Obviously, none of them are competitive. They lost to Morocco 2-1. They beat Greece 1-0. They beat Mexico 2-1. They lost to the U.S. 2-1. They lost to South Korea 2-0. So to your point, they really aren't going to get blown out, and they aren't blowing anybody out. They're playing a close game. Easily could be a 1-1. Don't want it. Could be a 2-1 either way, right? I don't actually see it being a 3-1 either way. I think it's going to be a grinders game. I think goals are at a premium. You cannot make mistakes. My biggest worry with this U.S. team is the amount of mistakes we make defensively under Poch. We have not yet solved that. We are going to have to go solve it, but I'm going to be optimistic and say that we solve it. So I got 1-0 Paraguay. Australia, I've also got us. My picks are very optimistic, by the way, because it's time to be optimistic, brother. Like, it's 4 years. I didn't come here to be pessimistic, man.
Slate is clean.
If you came here to be pessimistic, I'm probably not going to interact with you much for the next month or two. Like, I came here to get hype. So if you don't like that, then I don't know. Maybe there's a pouty channel you can go watch because I'm not pouting. We're going Australia 2-1. I got Pulisic scores in the first 5, a la Dempsey in 2014. I've got a Ballo goal in the second half to win, and I've got us holding strong after that late game against Australia. I do think Australia gets one. We're going to give up 1 in the first 2 at least because our defense is weird and our goalkeeping. So I think that's where we give up the 1. And then, if you thought I came here to say we're going to have a 9-point window, I'm not that optimistic. I've got I do have us pulling out a 2-2 tie with Turkey though. And I'm being really specific. I got Ballo with another early goal. I got some ugly play that leads to 2 Turkey goals and some pessimism. And then I got a late equalizer from El Tren himself, Ricardo Pepi. 2-2, win the group on that goal. Number 1 in Group D.
Okay, please, no one clip this, okay? Because if this is wrong, we don't want to, don't clip this.
Clip it up all day, baby.
I listen. I
aggregate.
That would be a perfect group for me. That would be perfect. That would be. I don't think we're going to win all 3. That's just not realistic. I think realistically, what you just said is the perfect outcome. 7 points.
Correct. And the more likely outcome is 2 draws and a win. In all honesty, that's I feel like the most likely outcome is a draw, a win, and a loss. And you finish second probably with that. You could finish third like that, but that's probably the most likely outcome is a 1-1-1, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance that you can pull 2 draws out and a win. And listen, with how grindy this group is, you could easily have a draw, a draw and a loss and 2 draws and a loss, right? You could easily do that in this group. So I'm not saying that what I'm saying is truth, but I'm going to be really optimistic. And here's what I will say. I do think this is going to be the longest camp that Poch is going to have with our A team. He really hasn't had a long camp with our A team. He's had, remember, none of these guys played in the Gold Cup pretty much, right? And I think with he is a good soccer manager and a good soccer mind. He is. Whether you like him, hate him, he is. I think he's smart. I think he's got a good team around him. I think they're going to figure out how to put this team together in a strong way. And I think don't get me wrong, it's not going to lead to, you'll hear the rest of my predictions in the knockouts. It's not going to lead to some miraculous run, but I do think it will lead to some positives. I'm optimistic about that. And I think the culmination of the Poch era will be strong, and he'll be out right after the World Cup, by the way.
So real quick too about this, and I plan on doing some like more extensive like when we get closer, because we still have like 2.5 weeks I think until the World Cup starts. I'm really nervous. Australia makes me the most nervous, and Mr. a good friend of the channel said kind of something similar. He said that the Australia game will be tough. There's something in Aussie mindset, whatever sport it is, it's an important game. They give nothing easy. Australia kind of has like our old demeanor of like, hey, we might not be the most technically sound team, but we're going to beat you up, and like it's going to be a bar fight, and we're just going to see who comes out that door. Like it might not be us, but you're coming out wounded.
So I totally agree with that, right? And I think they're an absolute, bitch to play against, right? Let's just be frank. Like, I think the thing about them though, right, is like if you look at a lot of their results historically, even in World Cup qualifying, they're so good at home, and that's because you literally have to travel around the world to play there.
Yeah,
like you just do. Like if you look at their last window, they won 5-0 against Curacao and 1-0 against Cameroon. But it's at home. Like, I'd love to know. I feel like you start down 1-0 when you go down there and play. So I'm concerned about them as well, right? They're just gonna be so hard to play against. They're gonna hope we make a mistake and that they take advantage of one, and then they just kind of hang on for dear life. But let's just be honest, guys. Like, we are better than Paraguay and we're better than Australia. Like, I'm just being honest. If we are competently managed, those two games should be wins if you're competently managed. I'm just being honest, right? Like, if you're competently managed and you play those teams 100 times, you are going to win a majority of the time. Doesn't mean you're always going to win. Doesn't mean that's definitely going to be the result. But I am expecting us to be competently managed. I'm expecting the guys that are on this roster to be healthy, and I'm expecting us to go play strong games. You already talked about how strong our front line is. We have a really strong front line, and we should be able to go play goals. And let's be honest, like, we've seen us play really well in the back three era under Poch. Like, we've had, other than the second half last camp, right? The 5-2 game against Belgium, and most of that was second half after we rotated. If we're just looking big picture now, we're zooming out. All right, what does the Poch era look like? Early, it's freaking terrible. Roster selection, really weird. I'm not gonna like defend those things. But over the last 3 or 4 camps, we've started to see cohesion building, and we've seen some really nice results against decent opponents. And I think that all points in a good direction to me, which is he's starting to understand the roster. The roster starting to understand him. Now you get his best group of 26 together for a long camp and 2 friendlies. And I think they can gel and start to play their best soccer. And if that happens, you should be able to pull out at least a result in both of those games, right? You should be able to win one, tie one. And like I said, you might go win, tie, loss. That's okay. That'll be good enough to get into the knockouts.
Okay, so you said that you have a knockout prediction too. And so I'm assuming are you going to give us a knockout prediction too?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be back on the channel before then, so I just want to make sure.
So who do you have us playing in the knockout?
Oh man, it's totally random. There's no way to predict it, but I've just fun. I've got us against Canada, third place in Pool B. Okay. I've got us going 2-0 to start our own 2-0 against Jesse Marsh. I've got Pulisic with a brace in that game, and I've got us moving on to the round of 16. I've got Egypt winning. I think it's Group G, and I've got us winning in PKs, 1-1, but winning PKs against Egypt. And then I've got us getting dog walked by Spain in the quarterfinals. But I've got us making the quarterfinals. And
that would be nice.
Fun, Listen, I didn't come here to predict us getting grouped. I didn't come here to predict us losing in the round of 32. I came to predict something, but not be too crazy. We're not beating Spain. We're not touching Spain, brother. We're not really touching. I mean, like touching anyone in the court. I did a bunch of different iterations, right? that weren't unrealistic, right? Yes, obviously miracles happen and you could end up playing like a more marginal team. It's just not realistic. Every iteration, whether we're third or second or first, there's almost no avoiding us getting to a quarterfinal and playing somebody that there's just no chance. Like there's just like miracle on ice, literally miracle on ice type stuff, right? Us versus this current Spain team, like it's rough. Like,
Well,
yeah.
so if we do beat Canada, though, that's the thing that sucks is like our best performance was the quarterfinals in like 2002. But even if we beat Canada in the round of 32, we'd still be around a 16. Yeah. So that sucks a little
there's
bit.
a lot of iterations of it where you play somebody way tougher than Egypt, and Egypt's pretty good. It's really good, but there's a lot of iterations of this where if you have us finishing second or third, we're actually playing somebody unbeatable in the second round of knockouts, which is the round of 16. So what I did was a pretty optimistic tale here to get us to the quarterfinals, but that's what I'm going to go with, man. And I hope I get clipped up like crazy, but on the positive side. I hope we can come back to this after it happens. You'd be like, man, good prediction, Adam.
No, I hope so too. I mean, my God, I would love for you to be right. You know, like I'm hoping that you just nailed it on the head. Okay, so let me ask you one final thing because you know we've been going for about 50 minutes, and then we're gonna have some fun at the end because I want to skip you in on this stuff. Real quick, I know that this is kind of like low, like more to it than what I'm asking, right? But what's your worst case scenario realistically? What's your best case scenario? I don't want to be negative, but what do you think is the worst thing that could happen? And what's the best thing that could possibly happen?
I don't want to jinx us, but I really think the worst that can happen here is we finish third in the group. I mean, the worst that can happen is you get grouped, but my God, like if you get grouped in this group, like that's crazy. Like this is probably, I get that there's tough opponents. This is the easiest World Cup group of my entire life, right? Mainly because it's an expanded World Cup and we're hosting, right? But even like going back to the 94 where we hosted, like we had a tougher group in 94 than we do now. Like, so easiest group of my lifetime.
Check this out real quick. That was 2014 group. Read that out loud. Germany, Portugal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like 2014's
no one was expecting that. No one was expecting us to get out of that group. But go on.
What was 2010? 2010 was Algeria. Oh, England, right? And we drew England. I love that we've drawn against England in 2 World
Slovenia.
Cups. Best. And Slovenia. But this is a tougher group. You have England, who's like top 5 in the world at that point and so good. That's like prime like Lampard, Terry, like that
Gerrard, Ashley Cole.
That's like prime Lampard, Gerrard midfield that never actually worked out for them.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't know. Overall, that's a tougher group just because you have England in it, which should be a loss. Like you're going in. I remember going into that World Cup. I was like, well, that's a guaranteed loss. You know, and if you look at the results there, it's 1 win, 2 draws. Like you're hard pressed. You'd have to go to what? 90, I guess 98 and 06 is where we got grouped. But we just haven't been grouped much in my like watching lifetime. Like for the most part, we've made it out of the group when we made the World Cup. So my worst case is 3rd place in all honesty. And that's you know, probably the formula there would be 2 draws and a loss. I think 2 points get you 3rd place often in a World Cup group.
2 points? Yeah, I think so too. Normally the worst team is the worst team.
Worst team usually has 2 losses and a draw, right? Or 3 losses sometimes. But like, yeah. So I don't know. That's my worst scenario. My best case scenario, in all honesty, being realistic.
I'm talking about the stars align. Like literally,
I know. The best case scenario is a semifinal, and that is a stars align lucky draw. Yeah. Like you've got to get really fortunate with your knockout opponents because we're just not good enough to beat multiple in a row, right? So like we'd have to do what I just said, which is like kind of get lucky in the first 2 rounds and then just pull an 09 Confed Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like be firing so on cylinder that it's just like it was our day. You play that 09 Confed Cup game 100 times, that literally might be our only win. Like I'm being serious. Like, I don't know. Not everybody was following the team that intensely at that point. That's probably watching here. If you're 28, you were, a baby at that time. Right. So like,
yeah,
but like I was the most into the USMNT probably my whole life from like, probably 08 to 2014. That era was just when I listen, I was freaking like early to mid 20s with no life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That was the best time, in my opinion. That was the most memorable
fun.
time.
It was a fun roster. And fun team, and like I really like it can happen. Some people are like, you're nuts. Like, it can happen. So if you're talking stars align absolute best, it's semifinals. But literally that's it. Your stars aren't going to align 2 times in a row. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work out. Because if you beat, it seems stupid to say, if you beat a Spain in like a miracle game, then you have to go play like a France. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's no world you get past the semi. Semi would be a win. Semi would be winning the World Cup in my eyes. Seriously, like,
oh my God, dude, it would explode. Like, it'd be incredible.
Right. So I mean, that's the gold standard here, right? Winning the World Cup isn't the gold standard. That is so far out of reach. It's insanity. I mean, it would be like the biggest sports upset of all time. Like, us winning the World Cup would be like a far bigger upset than Leicester City winning the Prem, than the 1980 USA team. Like, it really would be that insane in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where I would say. I think worst case scenario is grouped, obviously. I think best case scenario, if everything lines up, would be like the quarterfinals. And the only reason I say that is because in this new format, that means we would have had to win 2 knockout games, and one of them would have been a heavy hitter. One of them would have had to been a really good team, right? So that's probably my best case scenario.
It doesn't have to be. There's a lot of iterations.
Well, I guess that's true.
Heavy hitter. There just are. Like, and I know we just got absolutely smashed by Belgium in a friendly, but I don't take that as what a knockout game would look like. We would not play like that in a knockout game. So like, and I don't consider Belgium at this point in time a heavy hitter. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but like, the heavy hitters to me that are like the total unbeatables, you're not going to beat more than one of those. You're just not. So we'd have to get really, and even a Belgium Spain back to back, which could happen. You're probably not winning both of those either. Like,
oh God, that'd be brutal.
Yeah. So you're going to have to get really fortunate. You're probably going to have to, like, be first in your group, and then weird stuff happens in other groups. But guys, go look at World Cup groups. Weird stuff happens in World Cup groups, right? Germany, we watched Germany get grouped, right? And Mexico make it through. Like, that's a thing that happened. Like, not 100 years ago. I think it was 2018, right? Like,
we watched 2014, watch Prime Ronaldo get grouped against us. Prime Ronaldo, 29 years old.
Correct. And that Portugal team was tough. And that Portugal team win the Euros like 2 years later or something like that. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, 2016 they won it. Yeah, they did.
They won, right? Yeah. So like, that's what we're saying. Like, and that's the fun part of this, right? To me, Will, is like, you get to this point, and if we're not going to allow ourselves to at least think about that stuff a little bit, then like, what are we doing? Like, I don't want to be a fan if I can't at least get to this point and get optimistic and get hyped.
Dream. Yeah, I agree.
That's the point of being a fan, man. Is you're a fan of a mid-major school. You went to a mid-major school and your team makes the tourney. Like, you want to dream about making a Final Four. Like, obviously it's not realistic, but like, that's the fun. Like, I am a fanatic. I am a fan. I'm not an analyst, right? I know I come on these shows and analyze, but I want to be a fan now. So let me fan out.
Of course, I agree 100%. Okay, let's end it on some fun here, okay? So, I'm going to let them just explain the rules. There was a video that dropped yesterday, and I was going to do a short about it, but then I was like, Adam and me are doing something tomorrow. I'm just going to react with him. I've seen it, but I'm going to give more context of like what I think of how crazy this is. And chat, when you watch this with us, you let us know if you agree. You stop them when they say something if you don't agree with. So, they name players, and if they're supposed to say something, if the player's better than Dempsey, they say something. If the player's not better than Dempsey, they say nothing. Okay, so let me share this and let me know if you can hear it, because I was having some audio issues yesterday. So you let me know if you can hear this.
Don't speak until you hear a player better than
Can you hear that?
Clint Dempsey.
Yeah.
Joe Cole, Theo Walcott, Nani, Mesut Ozil, Sadio Mane, Robinho, Christian Eriksen, Hazard, Antoine Griezmann.
Wait, are they not talking? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, they're supposed to say they're supposed to say something if they think that player.
Yeah, this is wild.
We'll watch it again. And they're saying that Dempsey's better than these guys. Don't say anything if you think Dempsey's better than these guys. Bro, like literally every player on this list.
I haven't seen this yet.
Funny.
This just shows
Don't
you how
speak until-
unserious US soccer like commentary, the homerism of it is like why like this automatically like disqualifies them from having a soccer podcast. They said he's better than Christian Eriksen and not De Bruyne. They didn't say De Bruyne, right? Who else did they say?
No. We'll watch it again. We'll watch it again. I'll tell you what, we'll stop at each one so that way you can process it, okay?
Don't speak until you hear a player better than Clint Dempsey. Joe Cole.
Joe Cole was a very good player in the Premier League.
No, man. Like, there's no world where any human other than an American would say Joe Cole is worse than Dempsey. There really isn't. Like, you'd be laughed. This is so funny. All right,
it's insane.
Theo Walcott. It's like Prem starters for like decade. Like
for good teams.
Yeah, these guys are like national team players for like top 5 teams in the world at some point. All right.
Nani.
Dempsey was a dog, man.
Dude, them saying that Nani's not better than Dempsey like had me raging. Like I was like, this was, and I said that this is rage bait, but that's insane, dude. Nani was very good for Portugal. Played very good.
This is just rage bait. I'm glad I didn't click on this yesterday without like having a funny context of doing it on this video because I would have like thrown my phone as well if I watched this yesterday.
Dude, that's insane. Nani was so good for Manchester United in his prime. That is absolutely insane. Okay.
Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, also like led the Prem in assists for like 5 years in a row. Like,
so they agree that Ozil is better. Thank God, right? That the bar's in hell for it, but they agree.
Sadio Mane.
They don't say
think
yes
that
to that,
Sadio
right?
Mane is worse than Clint Dempsey. Bro, Sadio Mane was incredible for Liverpool for years, right? Won the Champions League with them.
For Prem champion and Champions League, not just starter, but like a star, like world star at that time, and started for like Germany. Like, come on, man. Like, come on.
Sadio Mane and Salah were like two of the most dynamic wingers.
Like, just starting for like a German champion squad, right? A Bundesliga champion squad is like, could Dempsey have ever started for like a Bayern or a Prem, champion? Like,
no. And you know, it's crazy. He moved to a team that was a fringe Champions League team in Tottenham, and he literally left after 1 year. They got rid of him after 1 year playing for him.
I mean, I'm like looking it up. Like, what did like Mane probably won? How many like big time?
Okay, you froze. We lost Adam for a second.
Like 7? Like, I don't know, 6? Like, I can't remember when he moved. He moved to Bayern right after, and like, that's crazy. Yeah, nuts,
so he only played 1 season at Bayern. Like, he left at like 30 for Liverpool, but even still, I mean, come on, dude. He's like Senegal's maybe their best player of all time. He's up there. Like, he's incredible. To say that, and I love Dempsey, but come on. Let's see who they got. Robinho was incredible for Milan. He was so good for Brazil. Like, do you think Robinho is worse than Clint Dempsey?
Yeah, I don't know. This is just like, dude, I bought my son this like magazine, Top 100 Players in the World. If you want to be like rage baited, I'll show you this magazine. It was like at Barnes and Noble. He was like, "Oh, Dad," he's like second grade. He's like, "Dad, can I get that? I want to like read about like, players." And he starts reading through. He's like, "Oh, Dad, like the Americans have this player who's like who's like the number like 52 player in the world." I was like, "Oh, who?" It's like, I was like, "Is that Pulisic?" He's like, "No, Ballo." I'm like, "Ballo's not the number 52 player in the world."
No.
And I was like, where do they have Pulisic? They have Pulisic at 16.
They have 16 in the world?
They have 16 in the world. You should see the players they had. This magazine had him better than. But I was like,
who made this list?
I don't like Sports.
Put the publisher out of business, dude.
It was like an American publication, maybe Sports Illustrated. It was like some sort of American publication, like pretty mainstream, and they just made some magazine. They had like 4 or 5 US guys in the top 100 players in the world. Like, Ballo wasn't even close to the worst. Yeah, I mean, they had like Jedi really high. They had I think McKennie they had in there. It's like, come on,
Dude.
guys, these aren't top 40, 50 players in the world. This makes no sense.
No, God, no.
Now, our perspective on this stuff is just, it's off because of this kind of stuff, though, because if you watch mainstream, sports media stuff like this, Christian Eriksen's absurd too. Like this is
Christian Eriksen was like
makes no sense.
A pillar for Tottenham, and when they really get underpoached, obviously, dude, that is insane. That's insane. Like never, like pretty much most of this list would be our best prospect ever on our team.
We're Dempsey stands here, right? Like I
love Clint Dempsey.
Like Dempsey, that's 17. Like it was, I think 2012. Like when I was at the prime of my watching time, that 17 goal season he had for Fulham was like, I don't know. That was like one of the starts of like hope in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like, oh my God, we have a guy who's like so I'm not downplaying Demps, right? He was crazy, but like, let's just be honest. Like he scored double-digit goals in Europe twice, and like, I don't know, like had some cool moments for sure, but he went to like those same Tottenham teams, either played with Eriksen or Eriksen was there right after him, and kind of I don't want to say flamed out, but he like wasn't that good, he was okay. Like,
yeah, this is like a joke. Like this was bad. Now the next one,
Eriksen,
is crazy too. This one's really bad.
Hazard's
the worst on the list.
Bro?
What's the worst on the list about it is these are like their peers. They played in the same era at the same time. And there's no world internationally or for club where Hazard, and this is like, I'm obviously a big basketball guy, right? And this is like, Hazard at his peak, right? He's not Kobe or LeBron, but he's like, Chris Paul, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he is like a world first, second team All-NBA guy. He's not an MVP, but he's like the level at his peak. He was the level below that, right? Would you agree? Like kind of second tier below, if you had like a top 10 players in the world or top 5 even, like he might have been sneaking into like that 6, 7, 8 range in some years. So comparing Dempsey to him is wild. I mean, like, what's the modern NBA comp for Hazard? It's like Anthony Edwards. I don't think it's like that far off, like this is like comparing some random,
probably.
like it's like comparing some random, really fun fourth starter who you love, who's like a baller, right? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody like Jamal Crawford and like somebody who's just like fun. Like that's what Dempsey was. He was a dog and he was fun. It's like, yeah, he was better than Ant Edwards. It's like, what are you talking about?
Dude, Hazard at one point with Chelsea was like top 5 in the world. Like the form, right? The form, obviously, like you're talking about his, like, and that's what you're saying about Chris Paul. Like he had moments where he was like probably the best point guard in the NBA. Dempsey never even scratched that. Ever was never. Dude, even when he scored 17 goals, he was never considered to be like in that upper echelon of player. Yeah,
I mean, Hazard just had a run, dude, of like I don't remember it exactly, but it had to be like 30 goals and assists in like 5, 6, 7 straight years, maybe 5 out of 7. I don't know if he got hurt some of those years. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a crazy run, dude. He fell off pretty fast though.
He did. When he went to Madrid, it was the beginning of the end.
So fast.
But he was let's see. Okay. So he was never like the most goals he ever had in all competitions in a season for Chelsea was 21, but he had a bunch of assists and he created a lot of chances. He was I remember at that time I was so frustrated with Chelsea watching them because he was so good, like 14, 15, 15, 16. That was like his prime with the team.
But dude, but once again, we're talking about going back to like the Mane thing, right? Hazard's even more, to me, is even a bigger affront because he was the best player on 2 teams that won the Prem, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they won twice when he was there. And he was the best player. I mean, I think everybody would say he was the best player on those teams, right? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, Lukaku, I mean, they had some other guys, but
Hazard was the guy. He was like the guy that took the mantle. He took the mantle from Lampard.
Correct. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's embarrassing to be honest.
I think there might be 2 more, but this one's crazy. This next one is crazy too.
Antoine Griezmann.
Oh yeah, that's
actually.
Dude, I think I was laughing too hard. I think I was laughing too hard at that. Yeah, I mean, Griezmann's literally nuts, right? I mean, he's, I don't know,
World Cup winner,
20 goals in Spain for, I'm just guessing, 20 goals in Spain. I mean, he had to have done something close to that in 4 or 5 years. I mean, it was so freaking good. The Atletico, yeah, it's like the Atletico era, and I think they win the Euro final or lose the Euro final. He had a crazy Euro run though, where they made the final. I forget if they lost or won it. I think they might have lost to Portugal.
Yeah.
He was like,
they lost to Portugal.
That was like prime Griezmann to me. That was like right before Mbappe, and that was like prime. Like he was really the dude who was leading that team. But yeah, that one's crazy too. I mean, that's
Griezmann scored. So in all competitions for Atletico, his first run, he had 25 goals, 32 goals, 26 goals, 29 goals, 21 goals.
That's all competitions.
Yeah, but that's Champions League though too. I mean, that's still pretty.
Yeah, that's nuts. No, that's nuts. That's absurd.
Yeah, so that's not even close. Now, the one guy they did say was better was
Son Heung-min.
Yeah, Sonny.
That's where they draw the line, is Sonny. And I like Son Heung-min.
Weird. I like Sonny too, but like Sonny is not on a different level than a number of guys there.
Hazard, Mane. I mean, I feel like these are all like very similar level players, and that's where they draw the line.
Yeah, if you did Sonny and you made all those same comps, I wouldn't be that offended. I would have some question marks in there for sure. But say you said yes and no to the exact same ones, but it was Sonny versus those guys versus Dempsey, it would be a little bit more like reasonable. Dempsey versus those guys I mean, any American ever versus all those players it's not close. I think every single player they name would be the best American of all time. Like without question.
Every one of them.
Most accomplished club, and they would have had the best, national team careers. Yeah, that's wild. Do we have one more thing? What else are we doing?
I think that's it. But one more thing I'll tell you too. It's so funny. I was talking to a friend about this. You know how there's always been people that says that the Americans get the knock on them because they're American. They don't get the credit they get. Like, they'll say, Adam Dino, if that was his name, then he would be, $80 million defensive midfielder. I think it's kind of the pendulum swung too much now to where now we're doing this with Dempsey, which is ridiculous. So now they're like way overcompensating and saying, yeah, because he's American, he actually is better than these guys. If he was British or if he was, Belgian or Dutch, he would be in another class. I think that they've overcorrected way too much.
I think so. A couple truisms here that I believe in. I believe it's a truism that there was a tipping point around that time where during that Dempsey, Fulham era and before, you were kind of penalized for being American. You probably weren't quite given the club opportunity that you deserved. So I think that's a truism. I do believe in that. But I think these guys are all taking it so far in their old man, I walked uphill both ways to school in my day. We were so good. So they've kind of spun it the other way, which is that is true. We didn't get opportunity. And man, if Dempsey was able to play on Man U or Liverpool, you would have seen him. He was better than Mane. He was better than Hazard. If you put him on those Chelsea teams, he would have done that too. It's like, all right, stop.
That's insane.
Well, it's like the problem is as soon as you do that, this is like my problem with Stephen A. Smith, right? And the whole first take kind of culture is as soon as you start saying stuff like that, I just lose trust. I'll never watch you seriously. Even when you say legitimate stuff, I'm like, yeah, what? You literally don't mean anything to me. I tune you out. I'm going to just tune those guys out every single time I see it. I never listen to that podcast, but every time I see a clip now, I'm going to be like, these guys are jokes. Next, right? Next clip. I don't care. Because if you can have opinions I don't agree with, and I'll come back to you. You can't do that because I know you're not. I actually don't think they're being genuine. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're trying to get people engaged.
Or you're legitimately stupid.
Yeah, no, they're trying to get people riled up.
And both of those things are equally offending to me in a way that I don't want to absorb your content. I disagree with a lot of content creators and a lot of shows and a lot of opinion, but I at least respect them enough to be like, well, I disagree with that take on that player, and even sometimes I think takes are stupid, but that's just, I don't know. It's rage bait, right? I mean, that has to be that's
what we just watched was 100% rage bait because look what happened.
And it worked.
It worked. Yeah. They knew exactly
20 minutes watching it and raging about it. So they win.
They knew exactly what they were doing. Adam, listen, I appreciate you for coming on, my friend. Guys, make sure if you haven't already, like the stream down below, help us out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of USMNT content on the way. I made a joke earlier that MLS Moves is now transitioning to USMNT Moves for the next 2 months. So we got a lot of stuff on the horizon. My good friend Adam has great takes. He does breakdowns sometimes on his X account. I think he kind of took a break for a little bit. You know, he had some stuff going on, but he's going to be, I think he's going to be in full swing now that stuff's ramping up. So make sure you guys go follow him on X at StanUSMNT. He's got great takes, and he will argue with you to a certain extent. He will debate you. So he's always fun. Adam, before we go, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Just have fun with it, guys. Have fun. You know, I know we spend so much time analyzing and being angry about stuff, and that's fine. That's your right as a fan too. It's all of our rights, right? To watch us get blown out 5-2 and blow that up and get really angry about it and the sky is falling. But it is your right to enjoy these games. And like, I'm not going to tell you have to enjoy it if it doesn't go well, but man, like, have some optimism, put a jersey on, put a hat on, go crazy. If you got kids, get them on in front of the TV, tell your friends to watch, and it's going to go one way or the other. We're going to like ignite US soccer in the country with maybe even just a little mild run, or our friends are all going to watch and go, what the hell was that? I'm not going to watch again for another 4 years, but I hope the first one happens, dude. I'm excited. I'm pumped. And honestly, just the non-USMNT games are just so fun. Like, I just love watching, you know, world-class soccer. And there's so many, like, it's fun. Like, you know, TikTok is feeding me a ton of people's like, hey, this should be Spain starting 11. This should be England starting 11. And even that's like really fun. I'm like, ooh, like that. I haven't watched a ton of that guy for that club. Like, there's a ton of guys who will be starting in this World Cup who blew up this year for club, right? Who you might have caught 1 or 2 times. And like, that's always fun, right? Like, who are going to be those guys who like break out in the tournament? So I'm pumped, man. It's gonna be fun.
Did you sell any organs to get any tickets, or are you
I am waiting on it. I think I'm going to wait and see if the prices go down. The prices are still nuts in the Northeast, to the point that I'm just not spending $600, $700 on a ticket. It's just not worth it.
He's got one more final question for you too. Also, Adam, are you coach at Bard? You guys are in the Liberty League, which is the conference my school was in.
I was the coach at Bard like 5 years ago, and for 13 years I coached at Bard for a long time.
And played there too, right?
I played there, yeah, back in the 2000s, a long time ago.
So yeah, so you're pretty much a foundational piece of the program there. Adam, I appreciate it, man. This was fun. Hour and 20 minutes blew by. I make sure you guys go follow him. We'll see what happens. Listen, clean slate for everyone. No one has won. No one has lost. No one has drawn yet. We'll see what happens. 2.5 weeks away. Until then, I guess I'll see you guys very, very soon. See ya.